What's up, YouTube? Georgia Silver Hunter back, and today we will be hunting a Brinks box of $100 worth of bank wrapped nickels. And throughout this hunt, we will be trying to fill a few spots or upgrade a few spots of this. I think this is the Whitman Jefferson nickels from 1938. It says to 2003, but I've added extra pages, so it's almost all the way up to current. So with that said, let's get into this box of nickels. So if this is your first time watching one of my nickel videos, I have been trying to fill out this Whitman book for quite some time. I only have a handful of episodes, though, on my channel that I've actually called out by episode title, because I actually filled most of this book really quickly. I'm struggling with a lot of the 30s, pretty much the 30s through about 51. I've got a couple here in the late 40s and 50s, and then most of the Silver War nickels. I've actually found or gotten most of these nickels, but they were either in customer dumps or part of coin collections, and I'm really trying to only fill this book with bank wrapped rolls or customer roll pickups that are not necessarily full collection dumps. From there, I'm really just missing some proofs until we get to 2009. I need the 2009 Philadelphia. That's the only other one we're missing, and I know the light's hitting that kind of funny, but that's the only other regular nickel we're missing. So let me get that book out of the way. This Brinks box, I've already opened it and checked it for to make sure that we did have a circulated box. And we did have a little bit of a problem as I was going through the rolls to make sure. Let me see if I can find it real quick. We have a little bit of a problem in that one of my bank wrapped rolls actually came with a copper penny ender. So hopefully I don't end up with a bunch of rolls stuffed with pennies. Outside of that, it did look like I had a really good mix of old nickels and new nickels. So I'm hoping we maybe end up with some more nickels or at least a bunch of finds in the 40s and the 50s. So with that, let's go ahead and get one roll open. And I guess before I do that, two things you can do if you're new to coin roll hunting just to see if you might have something interesting in the roll is you can weigh it. A roll of nickels should weigh around 200 grams. So there you are, 200.6 grams, probably all recent nickels. The other thing that I like to do, if you have some just kind of rare earth magnets, a lot of Canadian nickels are magnetic. So a lot of times I'll rub these over my nickels just to see if I might have anything Canadian in there. Because if you do, it'll stick and they'll just stand up just like that. If you do happen to have some, let's see, do I have anything magnetic around here? I do not. So I can't even show you. But let's go ahead and get into this first roll and see what kind of nickels we're looking at. So for nickels, we'll call anything a find that is from 1938 to 1959. Obviously, the important nickels we're looking for are those war nickels, which are from 1942 to 1945, and they will have a mint mark here above Monticello. Those are 35% silver. And of course, we're always on the lookout for V-nickels or buffalo nickels or anything like that. So let me just go through a few of these real quick, see if anything jumps out as really interesting. My eyes are getting old, so a lot of times I do end up having to put some of these under the scope just to read them. And there are a handful of varieties that we'll be looking for. And I've got a document in the description down below this video that you can go and check that out. There are not as many varieties as there are obviously in pennies, but there are a good handful that we'll keep an eye out for. In that document, I also have key dates and semi-key dates and other numismatically interesting coins that you might want to keep an eye out for if you start nickel hunting. All right, well, I'm going to stop here for on camera. Nothing's really jumping out at me as too important here or too interesting. So I'll stop here, I'll go off camera, and I'll bring you guys in when I do find something of interest. Well, so far, no keepers. This is that roll that had that penny ender. I'm going to go ahead and open it. You know what? Before we open it, let's weigh it. As I told you at the beginning, we were at 200 grams. So we're at 198.3. So that tells you that we are short something. Odds are we have the 40 coins we should, but one of them is a penny. And that's why we're short on the weight. So let's just get this open together and have a quick look. See if anything jumps out by the edges outside of that penny. So a lot of times the silver war nickels will jump out. They'll have a slightly grayer edge or slightly more worn. And so far, the first couple of rolls I've opened, we've got a lot of kind of beat up current coins. But this penny, it's a 1975 copper, so we'll hang on to it. It's our first, I guess, find or misfire here within the roll. But nothing else much to speak of. So it doesn't look like it, but we're actually on roll 10. This box has kind of 11 across on the bottom, so it looks a little off. But I assure you, we're on roll 10, and we have our first 40s find of the box. It is a 1946 Philly, and I believe this one has a DDR or a DDO, but I'm going to put it up here on the board as a find, and I will check all of my finds for DDRs or DDOs at the end. Same roll, just a few coins later, we have a 30s find. It is a 1939. Now, the 1939 Denver and San Francisco are both key dates. Let's hope for a D or an S. Looks like we got the Philly. So this box is really wonky the way the rolls are laying out in there, but I'm on roll, I think, 19, and I'm bringing you guys in for our next find, which is a 1956 Philly. So we've got 130s, 140s, now 150s, and a copper penny for the box. Same roll, 2 nickels from the end, and it looks like we have another 30s find. We have a 1939. I hope it's at Denver. I believe the Denver is that semi-key, or it is the key date, and we missed again. So we got another 39 Philly on the box, making 2. And we have a Buffalo. This is the 2005. I'll put that under the scope for the speared bison. I don't think we have it, though, just looking at it under this magnification. We're on the very next roll, roll 20, and this one actually came up reverse facing, and it looked old, but I wasn't sure, so I had to take a look. But we've got a 1940, and it is a Philly. I'll go up there with our 46. This one up here looked old too, but let's see here. It is an 81, so maybe not so old. Let's see here. It's a 64. We'll put that under the scope for the mint mark issues or the mint mark varieties here in just a second. All right. We'll bring in at the next find. On roll 22 or 23, we have our next find here. It is another 1939. Come on, Denver. But we get another Philly. I think we're on roll 24. Again, just due to the wonky layout of those rolls. But we have our next 50s nickel. We've got a 1952. Let's see here. That is a Philly. We are on roll 27, and I just got the paper pulled back. And I think, based on that color, we may be looking at a war nickel. And for those of you that don't know, war nickels are 35% silver. They were minted from 1942 to 1945, and the 42 you have to look at. And I'll show you if this is a war nickel, what you're looking for. Let's get that out. I heard it. You can see it. The color is different. This is a 1943. And the way you can tell the war nickel is if there is a mint mark above the building. All other mint marks are either next to the building. I think 64 might have been the last year they did it. I can't remember exactly. Or the mint mark would be here next to the date on the front. And that's in the more modern nickels. This 43 does have a 43/2 variety. Sorry, I'm a little off here with the camera, but you can't see it. It's pretty obvious when you have it because you can see a 2 kind of running in line with that 3, and you'll have a straight bar across the bottom of the 3. I think there's a double I on this one too. I don't know if I'm seeing that or not. I'll have to look into that one a little bit more, but I know there's a double I variety on this as well. Either way, it's a pretty cool find. It's the first war nickel I've found in a good long while, so it may even be a book filler because I'm missing a lot of my war nickels. One more for the board. So here we are on that same roll that I got the war nickel out, and I was spreading it out, and I saw something that I thought for sure was going to be another war nickel, just judging by the look of it. It looked very, very similar. I already checked it, though, and unfortunately we missed it by a year. It's a 1946. And again, if the color confused you, just note there's no mint mark above the building. So just a 1946 Philly. It's actually the second one on the box. Roll 28, and we have our next find. It is a looks like a 1958. A little beat up. And it is a Denver. We are getting down to the end of it. We are on roll 42, and I've come across my next find, and this one's a little bit exciting. It is a 1955. Now, the 55 Philly is a key date, and the 55 Denver has a D over S variety. So let's check it out. I'm really hoping for the Philly, but we got a Denver. Let's check it out under the scope. Well, looks like we've got some post-mint damage, but I'm not seeing any form or shape of an S in there. If you see one, let me know, but I'm pretty sure we just have a regular 55D. Very same roll. Towards kind of the back third, we have our next find. It is a 1948. Now, the 1948 S is a semi-key date. Let's check it out. And unfortunately, we have a Philly. Another 40s for the board. So this is the roll that just keeps on giving, but we are 3 coins from the end, and we have another 1948. So we got a second shot at getting that 1948 S. Looks like we got the D. So close. We're on roll 45 here, and we have another 50s find. And this is another 1955. So we are actually hoping, let's see here. See on the camera, we've got all that green stuff on it. It is another 1955. We are hoping for that Philly, but if we have a Denver, we will look for that D over S. And it looks like we have a Denver. Let's check it out here under the scope. All right, well, now that's interesting. That little bit of metal there above looks like it could be an S, but maybe that's just post-mint damage. I feel like we would see more of the S coming through the middle of the D or coming out the back side if it were. So those of you familiar with this variety, let me know in the comments down below. I'll keep this one pulled aside for sure, but I'm not sure that's going to be the D over S. I'll do some more research as well. Let me know. So we are on our last roll, and I'm bringing you guys in. We're about 5 from the end, and as I was going through them, it's a find because it's a 50s, but it's an absolutely gorgeous 50s. It's a 1959. This just really has a lot of, almost mint luster on it. It's just a beautiful coin. I put it under the scope, and we've got actually most of the steps are there. I'm just going to hang on to this because this almost has to be an upgrade for the book. Well, that's going to do it for this hunt, and it wasn't a bad single box of nickels. We've had better, but the real star of the show for me is this 1943 war nickel. Anytime I find silver in a box, it is a winner. This is my favorite coin out of the find. It is a 1943 S, so 35%er. Definitely going to hang on to that. Just for a real quick recap, we did have a bunch of the 1939 Phillies. Unfortunately, no Denvers, which would have been that key date. We did have a 40 Denver. We talked about the war nickel. We had some 1946. I believe they were all Phillies. We had a couple of 1948s, a 1952, a couple of 1955 Denvers, a 1956 Philly, and a couple of 1958 Denvers. I did pull aside one really, really nice looking 1959. And of course, I showed this at the beginning of the video. We had that one ender that was stuffed with a 1975 copper penny. Now, I am trying to fill out this Jefferson nickel book, and I've already kind of looked at it, and the bad news is that I don't have any book fillers. I'm still stuck here. I need the 38D, the 38S, the 39D, and the 39S. Those are going to be big ones. And then within the war nickels, I thought for sure I was going to be able to use that to fill. And as you can see here, sorry about the focus, I already have that 1943S. I really needed the 43D. So still missing some silver war nickels. As far as upgrades go, I think, let me just pull it out here. I do think this 1959 looks, let me see if I can zoom in here and get it to focus. This 1959 could very well be an upgrade. I'm going to put it under the scope, but I just, looking at it this way, I do think it's going to upgrade. And this 1955, if we compare it to what I have in the book, you can see I've got a lot of damage on the face of the coin here. So I think this coin just having less damage on it is an automatic winner. So this 55D is going to be an upgrade. Outside of that, nothing worth saving in the rest of the hunt outside of that silver war nickel. So we'll pull this aside and close it out here. It was a fun hunt. I do really enjoy hunting nickels. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of stuff to look for. Unfortunately, we just didn't get any book fillers, and we're really down to like the last 8 or 10 or 11 coins. So I hope you enjoyed this one. I look forward to doing my next nickel box. If you did like this one, please consider dropping down below this video, clicking that like button and leaving me a comment. If you're new to the channel and like catching coin roll hunt videos or videos about gold and silver, which I do from time to time, click on that subscribe button and then click on that little bell and select all so you get notified each and every time I post a new video. What else can I say here? Let me know what you guys are doing down in the comments below. Let me know if you like this hunt. If you did, do give me that big thumbs up. You know, like this video, share it with your friends, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.